Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Extraordinary Experience 2016, July the 7th. Now, I'm going to be doing a review on a early access game that, from what I understand, is no longer in production. So it's a little bit like one of the tragedies of modern gaming, and the whole early access system, mostly on Steam, but there are a couple of other publishers that also have early access games available for sale. The one I'm going to feature today is called Lost World Zero. And like I said, from what I understand, this game is no longer in development. So it's one of the failures of the early access system, and also partially, of course, the responsibility of the publisher. But I'm not going to judge based on the history, because I don't really know great details about the history of this game, just from what I read in the last 15-20 minutes. But from what I understand, this game has been on early access for some time on Steam now, and just the most recent update I noticed, the publisher stated he was sorry, he was apologizing. Apparently he lost the original, or he lost his development files, so the game he was working on can't be completed. What I understand, he's also going through some personal issues. But I'm just gonna walk around a little bit because I want to see what he has, the work he did put into it. I want to just give it a little overview. This is a Unity game, and looks like there's nothing in the inventory that I can see. I hear gunfire in the distance. I don't seem to be able to craft anything. Don't even know if I have a gun. I'm hearing gunfire in this direction, so I'm going to head that way. It really doesn't seem all that different from a lot of Unity titles that are available, but a lot of the times you can find games like this for free on GameJolt. I'm going to do a little bit of single player here, and then a little bit of multiplayer to see if there's anything to do in any of it. This does have a unique look to it. That's one thing I'll give it. Colorful landscape and trees. But is this anything? Yeah, so far this game does look very incomplete. That is, to be fair, that is kind of the idea of early access, is to be able to invest in a game that you want to see completed. I'm not entirely sure this gunfire is coming from anything. Well, I'm going to head out in that direction and see what there is to see. almost positive now that there's not any enemies. This is my very first time playing this game, so don't fault me too much if I'm just not playing it right or something. Ooh, here's a... oh. I pushed Q to get to this. Objective, take out SNA soldiers. Warp to land. Do that. Yeah. Mantle. There is some kind of crafting interface here, but not sure what to do with it, if anything. Push E to exit, I guess. Oh, okay. It looks like whatever my objective was, it would have been at that point. It might be the single player that is not completed compared to multiplayer, but we'll find out. I'm gonna give this game at least an hour or so, all around. Some basic structural architecture, a crashed spacecraft or something like that. Very colorful. Not the worst Unity. It's not the worst Unity example I've ever seen. Wait. It's just E. E does that. Okay. I thought that was Q. And these other buttons. I look at the controls just in case that there's something important. Interact is F. Aircraft engine is B. Probably if you have one. Jump. Sprint. Interact. Ground fighter. Okay. Yep, so this does technically qualify as an open world game, but this does appear to be one of the examples of how early access can I wouldn't say it's abused, but there might be too early for early access, I guess. Good way to put it. And there's a lot of developers now making games with Unity. A lot of game developers with not a whole lot of experience. So you can't expect them to make a great game alpha, in their first try or first attempt to make a game. And if it's if it's just one person making the game, also it can be difficult to control quality. In particular, if they're students or full-time jobs and that sort of thing. I don't expect them to be able to make changes quickly. And in those cases, I would suggest to new game developers in those situations, either work or in school, where if you don't have a lot of time to put into a game, it might be better to develop a little more before you try to apply for an early access. Because if the game development isn't there, something for people to do in the early access build, alpha or whatever, then you're not going to get much money for your development. You're going to end up getting a lot of refunds and that sort of thing. Now, it can be tough trying to develop as an independent developer, but it's probably always best to try to collaborate with more than one person if you try to go early access. And they very well may have tried to do that in this one, I'm not sure. From what I gathered, it looked like it was just one developer. And, yeah, this is... Yeah, it's a little tragic. I mean, I could see a game like this being developed with a little care put into it and a little more, I wouldn't say effort, because he might have even put significant effort into learning how to use Unity and all that. I've never made a game, so I can't say how easy or hard it might be. But I'm assuming that he probably used mostly placeholder assets to make this game, and to me that's acceptable if you develop the game enough with temporary assets with the intention of developing further. And I think most of the time most developers do intend to, but yeah, you have to be able to weigh their ability to work in a game, put time into it with their schedule, whether or not they can actually pull that off. I'm not trying to make an overarching statement. I'm just saying what I think. So I think early access is a good idea, and it's still kind of an early, developing how early access works on Steam, so it's got room for improvement. There's been a lot of obvious scams on early access over the first couple of years that it's been available. This may or may not have been one of them. It has the markings of it, perhaps, but I'm not gonna say that I think this one was a complete scam. It might have been just a underdeveloped game, and the publisher may very well have meant to add on to this significantly over, as soon as it got on early access. But I think from a developer's point of view, early access is meant to help them fund an idea that they can develop into a real game. And it doesn't always work like that, because a lot of people on early access expect a playable game that's and I think some of the expectations of early access participants, the people who buy into early access, a lot of times do have higher expectations than is reasonable for an early access level game. And I think some of that's just they don't understand the concept of what early access is for. And there needs to be a balance, though, because there does need to be a way for independent developers to be able to use their creativity, and if they're able to make a convincing demo, sort of their game, and make that early access, That's, in my opinion, a reasonable approach to take, where it's let's take, for example, a game like Quake. That's a different type of game than this, obviously, but back in the early days of computer history, the first Quake, and games like that, like Wolfenstein 3D, and I think even Doom for a while, was also shareware, they called it, where you could play the first campaign or the first chapter of those games for free, and they were completed missions or levels or sets of levels, and that was kind of like early access, but it was the game was already complete in its mechanics and all that. That would probably be a better way to use early access these days, is to make a fully developed game system, chapters, small scale, smaller scale than your overall dream of how the game should be, but downscale it, make it as polished as you can, and give yourself a reasonable a lot of the stuff looks really neat, but you can tell it's most of it is just placeholder assets. But it does say a lot to choose what assets you use and use them well. Actually find something. I don't think there's anything to do around here. Alright, I'm gonna quit this single player now. See if I can't find something. Oh, it's just E. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. Well, that's enough of this for now. But anyways, yeah, with early access, you might be better off, early developers, especially single person teams where you're developing a game by yourself. Make a smaller game of your idea if you're going to go early access, and charge just like $1.99, not $10 or $20 for an early access title. That's a little extreme. Okay. Wow. It looks like the reports on Steam are accurate. There's almost nothing available to do in the game. It's actually less than I was expecting. I was expecting at least some gameplay available. I have an inventory, but I don't seem to have any items. I've never seen any enemies, just a lot of foliage, trees, a couple of structures that they make interesting screenshots, but even those didn't really look all that eye-catching to me. Yeah, if this game wasn't in the Steam sale, I probably wouldn't have even picked it up. But yeah, I encourage the developer of this game, though, to keep working on. If he's interested in making games, to keep on trying, even if he lost all of the development files for this game, he could still use this as a objective lesson on how the game industry or game ecosystem kind of works. It can be unfair for developers with some of the toxic community that's on Steam Early Access, and people that really do expect too much of a developer. But I think in this case, it's fair to say that the developer did do an underwhelming uh, job as far as his first release of the alpha, and maybe maybe just overpricing. Uh, because under development can be, um, you can improve on that over time, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure on the whole history of this game, but I will research it a little more, and I think I'll do a little longer video after this about that. Try to do some facts about the game's development and see what I can find out. Yeah. But like I said, I do encourage the developer of this game to keep trying. Get back into game development if that's what you enjoy doing. But I would encourage you also to look for a good partner, some good game development friends, either on the internet or at school, or just friends that you know, to work on a project together that can help with a lot of the workload. If there's updates that need to be done, it's good to have a few people to work on different aspects of the game, so there's something to show every month or so. And it's probably the fantasy or the dream of every early access development developer to make a game that people will buy into and invest in early, and use those funds to build the game. That might be a little bit naive in some ways, where you can't expect people to invest in something they don't really understand. Like this game, it doesn't really give you any indication of what it's about. It hits that sci-fi and otherworldly architecture and colors, but there's really nothing here. There's no enemies. There's no AI. There's no. Doesn't look like there's even any weapons. I thought that was actually an exaggeration on Steam reviews, is that people were saying there's no guns, but I think there may have been more content in this game, and then it got removed or lost, possibly. I don't know. But anyways, I think I'm gonna quit now. This is Lost World Zero. It's one of the casualties of early access, unfortunately. I'm going to read real quick a little bit about the game development. I'm not going to go into huge detail, just what's in the first page on Steam. Let's see here. And you can go to Steam Lost World Zero, find out the reviews for yourself. Okay. It's got mixed reviews, which is actually surprising considering what I've seen. I'm not even sure how it got that high of a score. Yep, a lot of people gave it negative reviews, saying it needs lots of work. One of the last recommendations was in April 29th. Needs lots of work. honestly pretty bad. It's in its current state. It's from Amy Rose. Dino Boy says, it's a no as of right now. I understand the game just came out today, which was February 12th. However, in its current state, there really is no incentive to play the game. Very pretty game. It's definitely unique. As someone who is familiar with these types of games, this is one to stay away from right now. It amazes me that one person made it, and I give them so much praise. However, as a gamer, I say wait till it's more. Okay. Yeah. Guns are not working. Literally nothing to do. Okay. And then one of the announcements from Mark on May 30th. Recently, I've been having serious doubts about ever starting this project. A lot of you are unhappy, and I understand that. Some of you make great points, others not so much, like the ones who called me expletive. Yeah, I am a teenager. I do not belong here. I am immature. Yeah, that would be the question: is how a teenager got early access, unless they're 18, I guess. Now on to your requests. Remove purchasing Steam store. I've made several requests to the Steamworks development group on Steam, and while Valve used to respond and follow through within an hour, apparently they've done a pretty bad job recently. So apparently he did request to have the game removed. Yeah, it does look like some people may have been harsh in dealing with the developer. I don't condone that. If you're going to be critical, you need to. It's never really helpful just to insult people. You always want to give them constructive criticism whenever possible. Okay, the most recent June 30th post was the apology that I read earlier before I started the stream. It says, hey y'all, so for one, I've been extremely busy with summer school. I'm taking on a speech class, and it's an 8-month course, shortened to 1 month, so there's lots of work. I've also had in real life work. As some of you know, I work as a cashier at a grocery store. But he sounds like a lot of real people that I know. You know. And then then my girlfriend broke up with me, so I've been feeling down because of that. And that can really be a downer for any teenager who is developing a game. Believe me. If you don't remember what it was like to have an early relationship and break up, it's a very emotional thing. However, I haven't been ignoring your suggestions for data recovery. I was able to get some files back, but not all, or close to all. Most of what I had back is code. However, most of the code I see is shitty now, so I rewrote some of it. Made a much better framework for future games. Less buggy and stable and more optimized. That's something. Hold on to that. Lost World Zero never really used a proper framework, as most developers do, such as classes that revolve around certain features, network helpers, and the like. Mine was just a bundle of code mashed together. deeply apologize for the drama of this game. I regret every minute of it. Don't do that. Don't regret every minute of it, because at least you tried and you learned something. It says, my friend told me somebody asked on Steam why it's on sale if the game is never going to be finished, which is a legitimate question. Steam lets developers know what day the Steam sales start and end about 2 to 3 months in advance. This information cannot be shared, so I never told anybody, and I never plan to lose all of the data, as I wanted to keep working on it to make you guys happy. I requested a sale on it as soon as the sale requests went live, as the data wasn't gone yet. I'm not entirely sure if the game data he's talking about was an update that was made and then removed, or if that's something he was working on to update the game with. He says, I am not angry or saddened at you guys for being angry or feeling betrayed at me, as I completely understand it. I'm working to become a better developer. I'm completely rewriting a lot of my old code I got back and writing newer, much better code. I'm going to spend much more time on it, and my current project is relatively secret. That's good. I approve that he is working on better project, better code. And, however, one thing is for sure. If I ever get back on another game on Steam, or if I ever get another game on Steam, I'm going at a different perspective and approach. I'm not going into early access. I'm going to work my ass off on the next game. Make it worthy of being fully released on day one, and not to make it feel early access like. I commend him for that. That's good. It's a good goal. So he's already made commitments on his own. That says something about his character. And anybody who purchased Lost World will get all of my other games for free if they're ever to make it on Steam. Whether you want it or not, or if you don't want it, you can remove it from your library. I understand I lost all of your guys' trust. Yeah. I know I was a dick to some of my people, or to some people, and that's one of the things I regret the most. I've completely broken any trust between any customers. Turns out my anger and mood swings and depression and such are caused by ADD. Yeah, he's on medication. Yeah, a lot of people are. Which should allow me to focus more and get stuff done and be more calm. Okay, and he says, I am so sorry. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the game is not in development any longer. So Lost World Zero is no more. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it's an unfortunate tragedy that was on early access, but the developer seems to have learned quite a bit, and better than most developers who have that same reaction. I mean, he's at least learning from his mistakes, so give him credit for that. Yeah, make a comeback. He's gonna make a comeback and release a game on Steam for the first full build. We look forward to that. Anyways, developers, yeah, do your best, always. Even on your alpha builds. Do something a little more. Put a little more effort into it. Yes. and I'll see you all next time.